national capital is a COVID hotbed with close to 20,000 cases. It is the second worst affected city in the country after Mumbai, with a regular trend of over 1,000 cases every day, placing a huge burden on the city's medical infrastructure. As Delhi struggles to flatten the curve, the Chief Minister today said that the borders of the state will be sealed for a week in order to contain the spread of the pandemic, as well as the influx of patients from outside the city. He made a pitch to the residents of Delhi, asking them if the capital's medical infrastructure should only be reserved for the city's residents. Arvind Kejriwal said that citizens from across the country come to avail the high-quality medical treatment in Delhi, and if the influx continues, the 9,000 plus beds in the city earmarked for COVID patients will be occupied in 2 to 3 days. The Congress has accused Kejriwal of trying to insulate the capital from the rest of the country, including medical facilities provided directly by the central government. BJP Member of Parliament from East Delhi, Gautam Gambhir, also hit out, saying the suggestion exposes the Aam Aadmi Party government's failure to fulfill its promise back in April of being ready for 30,000 COVID patients. But beyond the politics, medical ceilings is a contentious issue that has turned cooperative federalism on its head. Haryana sealed its borders. Karnataka had sealed its border with Kerala to control the influx of patients, but that decision had to be overturned when the Supreme Court intervened. Nonetheless, as Unlock 1.0 takes shape and COVID cases localize, is the localization of medical resources the right move to flatten the curve in the red zones? Are drastic measures like this the need of the hour? Before I bring in my guests, let me tell you our newsmaker this evening, Deputy Chief Minister of Rajasthan, Sachin Pilot, will be joining us as well. Our guest now, Gurcharan Das, is an economist and a moral philosopher. Neeti Jain is the BJP spokesperson. Dr. Joy Kumar is the Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson. Dr. Joy Kumar, it's the national capital region that we are talking about, the NCR, which has the best hospitals in the country. Why is the Aam Aadmi Party government pitching this idea of Delhi hospitals for Delhiites?
No, look, we are very confident that the number of beds we have are adequate to handle what's in Delhi in the existing situation. The challenge is that you are aware that there's a lot of central government hospitals also. The AIIMS is, and the Safdarjung or the Lady Hardinge and other institutions. Those beds have not been released to the government of Delhi. Why the government of India is not doing it? Why is AIIMS just kept for the VVIPs, and what is the reason? That's for the Bharatiya Janata Party to answer. But the fact is that if everybody starts coming into Delhi for treatment from nearby, then how do we handle it? I mean, we can handle any number of patients who are in the residence of Delhi. That's not an issue. We have also co-opted the five-star hotels to be attached to the private hospitals and fix the rates. So we are very confident on the number of ventilators. We are very confident on the number of... But to handle the whole of it's impossible. The reality is that we can't.
Okay. Neeti,
so,
Neeti, the fact is that Delhi is one of the worst affected states. Among the 5 states is one of the worst affected after the state of Maharashtra. The cases in Delhi are increasing exponentially, almost 1,000 plus cases being added daily. The question here is now that if the Delhi government decides to make it Delhi for Delhiites, then what really is the problem here?
You know, Marya, the point is that whatever decision has been taken today by Arvind Kejriwal ji is nothing else but a deflectory kind of a situation that he is trying to create for his own incompetence in being able to control the pandemic in Delhi. And I'll give you the reasons for that. So you're saying you have the beds, 9,500 is what Arvind Kejriwal ji had quoted today. But in April, you said you had 30,000 beds ready for active COVID patients. Where are those beds, sir? You are talking about the hospitals being ready. You're talking about ventilators being ready. The point is, you said you would be ready for 30,000 patients in April, but today, when you are touching around 20,000 patients, the entire medical infrastructure that you have done no work on has crumbled, and you cannot deal with that. And when you talk about the outsiders, this is not the first time that Aam Aadmi Party is talking about the outsiders. Even last year, they had said that the migrants come from Bihar or 500 rupees ki ticket lekar aate hain, and they take the beds, they take the expensive medical treatments here, and they go back, and they did an entire hue and cry about it. That is probably why during the beginning of the lockdown, ये लोग सारे अपने migrants को उठाकर they took them to the UP border and they left them there. This is what you have done, and this is what the Aam Aadmi Party has done.
Okay.
So your disdain for the outsiders
Maria.
is not new.
Okay,
This is
outsider
nothing
versus
about
insider
COVID
is
anymore.
happening, and this allegation of the beds, are you really ready in the sense that when the time was given for every state to get battle ready in a way because the cases would spike, then what kind of preparation was done by the Aam Aadmi Party government?
So, Marya, first two issues. I find this Bharatiya Janata Party spokesperson finding religion suddenly on inter-border sanctity of the not
Where
sealing the
did I
border.
talk about
One
religion?
sec. I'm
Sir,
saying
where did
I didn't talk about religion. I used an English phrase, madam. I used an English phrase. Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I used an English phrase. I didn't say it. So I said you suddenly found this new inspiration for border openness. When Karnataka border was closed with Kerala, you didn't bother. When Haryana was happily closing with people of Delhi, you didn't bother. When UP was happily sealing everything else, you didn't bother. And suddenly you have this great anguish with you, and the whole of the, the whole of the Bharatiya Janata Party seems to be so anguished for nonsense. I mean, when Karnataka was sealing the border with Kerala, why wasn't the same amount of alacrity and so much of anger shown? So first of all, please apologize, and then I accept that. Then I would accept
sir,
that
you
feel
have
that
to apologize to the
adequately-
people
let me-
of
I
the
didn't
state
interrupt you,
and the
madam.
country
Madam, I
for
didn't
the kind
interrupt you.
of
Madam, I didn't
atrocities and the
interrupt you.
kind of mismanagement that you've done in the
one
state
sec,
of Delhi.
Nitiji, I didn't interrupt you. I don't expect
Okay.
you to interrupt me. Yeah, thanks.
Sure.
Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. So my question is, first of all, the BJP should apologize to the whole country for doing this Kerala border, Karnataka stopping it, Delhi, UP stopping it, and Haryana even dug up roads. But that's a different issue. Now coming to capacity. We have
Yes.
capacity. But why is the government of India not releasing 5,000 beds in AIIMS? Why are they? They are anti-migrant. They are anti-India. They are anti-people of India. They are not releasing Safdarjung. They are not releasing AIIMS. And then they are saying this Delhi government, you handle over India. We need 5,000 beds for VVIPs because out of the 100 ministers, we still have 5,000 guys from various officials of the Bharatiya Janata Party who might fall sick. Why can't you
I
release it for
don't
the
know
give it to
exactly
us?
what you...
No, I would
Maria,
ask the
let me
BJP
come in.
spokesperson.
Okay, quickly,
why don't you
Neeti
give us
Jain
those
will
5,000
respond
beds?
to this, and then I'll bring Gurcharan Das.
So the other states that you're talking about, at that time, the entire lockdown, the interstate movement was not allowed at that time. However, when the Supreme Court came out and gave whatever directions were to be given, I'm not going to question the wisdom of the Supreme Court, but the decisions were taken as per what they were told. Now, when the center has come out and said that there needs to be no restriction, you have a problem, and now you are coming out and say, now we are sealing the borders. If you were worried about
Maria.
the people in Delhi, sir, you would not let this grow as
Gurcharan
much
Das,
as it has
never
grown.
before the borders became so opaque than we are seeing right now. You know, is it because the states realize that when it comes to these numbers that we keep on showing that it's state specific, and the battle has to be fought at that level, and then it involves containing the spread of the virus, ensuring that it doesn't come from the neighboring state, and within the state, it is again the borders within borders. The boundaries are further defined with the containment zones being limited to various colonies, and then there are districts. So it's very localized management now.
Yeah, and I think the root cause of this problem is that this choice of closing borders should never have been given to Chief Minister. It boils down really, we should have called this a national health emergency. It's like a war. You don't allow UP to raise its own army and Delhi to raise its own army and Karnataka to raise. You have one national army when there is a war. So here, the issue here is that you have, I mean, I can understand the moral dilemma that Kejriwal is facing, because he has the idea that he should allow only Delhiites to use Delhi's hospitals, when many of these hospitals actually were built by central government funds, by our taxpayers' money from around the country, and not by Delhi people. And so that's a wrong idea. But yet the poor guy is facing the problem of managing a situation where there are only 10,000 beds. And so with these beds, he's already got 2,500 or so occupied. And there's likely to be a surge in the next few weeks. And if people come from around the country, there won't be beds for the country. So, I mean, I have really, it's a classic dharma sankat, a moral dilemma that Kejriwal is facing, and that's why he pushed it down to the people and says, "Tell you people, tell me." But what is absolutely wrong is that the way he behaves like this, it's as bad as the behavior of the Chief Minister of Karnataka, who closed the borders to people of Maharashtra and other states. Now the Shiv Sainiks of Maharashtra are saying, let's clean up Bombay. Let's get rid of all people from Bangalore and from the Kannadigas.
But are you of the opinion, Gurcharan Das, that this outsider-insider that's happening, and particularly in the context of even migrants, I mean, the builders of modern India and modern cities were almost left helpless?
You know, this actually, the Constituent Assembly debated this sort of problem that might arise, and they worried about what should be the right balance between central power and state power, the power between the states. And this is when they decided, look, you've got to have a common currency, for example. If you have one country, you've got to have a common defense force. Well, in an emergency like this, you have to behave like a nation. And I fear that the persons who have decided to hand over this problem to the states have done the wrong thing.
Okay.
In this, while we don't want to micromanage, we don't want the center to micromanage, and there is federalism, but the reality is that this is not the place. The decision to lock a border should never have been given to a state.
Okay, let me start wrapping the debate, and I'll begin with Dr. Ajoy, because I'll give the final words to Neeti. Go ahead, Dr. Ajoy.
No, look, Gurcharanji has put it very correctly, but the fact is that, you know, when the government of India...
It's a moral dilemma. That's what he's saying.
No, and I appreciate what he said. And the more important part is when the government of India says that borders are free, but the states can decide. So the whole, and I don't know if you know that there were 2 orders passed on every day. So bureaucrats have messed up this whole lockdown with 200 orders. Everybody can do whatever. And the other issue is very clearly, Marya, release those beds which are in AIIMS and other hospitals. Work together with us and say, look, we'll handle the India, but you are not releasing it. So question is, you blame us and then you don't help us. You tie our, you tie our laces, both the laces together, and then say, okay, by the way, run. And then when we fall, you start laughing. I'm saying release those beds.
Okay, release the beds.
Give us substance, release it, and we will be ready to take in.
You know,
I mean,
Marya,
I
find it, if this were not so tragic, it would be hilarious, because Mr. Ajoy, you are talking about 5,000 beds. First of all, it's not true. Nothing of that sort is happening. And even if I take your word for it, where are the 30,000 beds that you promised were available in April? Today you are shouting about these 5,000 beds. Where are those 30,000 beds? The High Court has asked you, the dead bodies are lying in the hospitals.
No, the dead bodies are lying because you are not getting the crematoriums working. I have an answer. The crematorium was not working, and that's why those dead bodies were lying.
Okay, let Neeti speak, please.
You have a 65,000 crore budget. You said you have a surplus economy, and then you come out and say in April कि हमारे पास PPE kits खरीदने के पैसे नहीं है. उसके बाद आपको पैसे ऑफर किए जाते कि तुम्हें पैसे की प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. We have the money. but we don't have the PPE kits.
Marya.
Sir, you have a
Dr.
habit
Joy, I'm
of
coming to
being
you.
a
Let her finish her
victim,
point.
and that is all. That is all you do. Stop politicizing this
Marya.
matter, sir. This
Marya.
is a matter
But
of pandemic.
Dr. Joy Kumar-
Don't
Marya.
shout about those
Yes.
5,000 beds
Yes.
that really don't exist.
Yes. So, Dr.
Marya.
Joy Kumar, you're talking about something that's non-existing as per the BJP.
No. First of all, AIMS has got 5,000, but they need to check up their
Arey,
knowledge and the other
30,000
part.
beds
One
kahan
sec.
hai? Where are the
No.
30,000 beds that you
Can
promised in April?
can I complete, ma'am? This is the problem.
Yes,
Second
please
issue is you need
answer
to.
the question.
Secondly, you don't, no knowledge on economics. You collect the GST tax. The center is supposed to pay us. We have not been able to collect the tax. The center has not paid us. Where
Arey,
does
sir,
the
आप
money come from? It
economics
comes from
छोड़ो.
the.
Maybe
It comes from the.
why
No, the
economics
basic
is
economics.
not as
Madam,
good as Aam
fundamental
Aadmi Party,
economics
which
to
is as a
samajh lijiye.
surplus
The basic
budget,
economics
but
you
has
don't
been
understand.
crying for the
That
past
the tax
3 months.
Okay,
collection
Neeti,
and the
Neeti and Dr. Joy Kumar. You know, the question
Deputy-
here is that here is the Chief Minister who has asked for suggestion. And of course, this
Correct.
is a very difficult choice for anybody to make. You know, we are in the phase of opening up. And instead of opening up, Delhi has decided to seal borders. Earlier, we saw Haryana seal border with Delhi because when there was a spike in cases in Delhi, Haryana and Uttar Pradesh, both are the states governed by the BJP. Neeti, what exactly is happening? Will we be seeing more sealing of borders?
So
You know, Marya, the reason those borders were sealed was because of the mismanagement in Delhi. In Noida, for example, the DM had said that 42% of cases that were coming into Noida were from Delhi because that pandemic is spreading in Delhi like anything because it's not being controlled.
Okay.
It was not for the hospitals,
Marya.
it was not for the
Marya.
medical facilities that were being sealed for the
Okay.
residents of Delhi.
Marya.
Dr. Joy
It
Kumar,
was
quickly,
as simple as
10
that.
seconds.
The sealing
Marya,
is for a very
Marya.
10
different
seconds.
reason and
Question is-
intention.
10 seconds,
Question is,
quickly. Yes.
The BJP will, the Delhi government has managed it. We have managed in terms of the number of people who are succumbing to death. It's unfortunate, but we are doing our best in terms of locating people. The problem is, if Mr. Modi had locked down the country earlier, nobody would have had this.
Fine
They were
enough.
forming government in Madhya Pradesh and
Dr.
doing
Ajoy Kumar,
Howdy Modi,
sir,
Howdy
pending
Trump,
Neeti
law,
Howdy
Jain,
said
Trump.
by law.
Gurcharan Das,
Government-
thank you so much for joining us. And joining me now on the show is